Hey everybody, Jason Sherman here. In today's episode of Zero to CEO, I speak to longevity visionary Dr. Greg Burzynski. Welcome to the show.
Thanks so much, Jason. Appreciate having me.
And Star Trek says live long and prosper. We're going to say live longer and better is today's episode with Dr. Greg here. And we're going to talk a lot about like preventative medicine and, lots of stuff actually. But, as someone who's tried, quote unquote, tried many different diets or homeopathic things or different supplements or medicines or methodologies over the years, I don't think I've ever found like my sweet spot in terms of how to be the healthiest version of myself. So I definitely want to talk to you about that today. Is there a way for people to come up with what would be considered the best version of their health for them versus like looking at what everybody else is doing?
Yeah, most definitely. I think so. With today's world, you can take a deeper dive. And just because your wife, your friend is eating a certain diet doesn't mean you should be eating that. It's largely specific on so many levels. So, genomically speaking, or ancestrally, or just how your body reacts with certain foods, and also what exercises you should be doing or not doing, and things of that nature. So, I like to fine tune these things so we could be at our best performance.
Yeah, and I recently moved from a city to a suburb, and the city doctor I had was just not helping me from what I could see. Like he offered me a statin for cholesterol, whereas my new doctor in the suburbs took me off of the statin and said no, like just like change your diet a little bit, eat some red yeast rice supplements, so like, what's going on with the healthcare system? Are they just trying to like shove pills down our throat? Are they just trying to manage our sicknesses? What's your take on it?
Right. So this is a kind of a population medicine, and meaning that based on data, large studies, and obviously interest, right? So big pharma, right, wants to sell their medicines, but there's a lot of nuance involved. So perhaps a statin could be right for somebody, but perhaps we should deep further, right? We need to see exactly in your case, how do the arteries look like? Do you have any concerns like plaque buildup? If you do, then maybe we should even do something better, like Repatha, for example. If you're going to use something, I use that medicine because I know based on my family history, I might be having some heart problems as my father did. So my arteries are clean, so to speak, and I want to keep them that way. So I want to eliminate things that are going to knock me off, and that way I can get the right meds on board and the right tactics to avoid those things.
Yeah, it seems like there's so many nuances, and you just need the right knowledgeable professional to help you through to navigate, right? Because it's so tough. So, is there a way? I mean, I'm assuming nowadays with technology, we're using AI, maybe some diagnostic tools to detect disease or other issues before the symptoms show up. What's your take on that? Like, are you
Mhm.
using that? Is there a way to use that?
Of course, I'm in this arena for that reason. We have all these exciting tools. We're at a confluence of so many things, literally almost every week appearing that make my job easier, patients' lives better, and everybody happier, I think. So the old mentality of just getting a physical, basic labs and getting on these medicines, I don't think that's good enough. I think we have to get more data, and our world is ever changing. We're not living in the world of our grandparents.
Yeah, it's well, that's for sure. Her grandparents, did they still have did they have penicillin back then? I mean, just
Depends
the
how old your grandparents are,
yeah,
right? So,
they're dead now,
yeah.
but I'm assuming when they were kids, there was no cure for certain things.
Mhm.
Which reminds me, are there any preventative medicines today that we are missing opportunities on that could possibly be filling in some gaps that you think should be focused on?
I mean, I recently started using a peptide called alpha thymosin. I think it's remarkable to improve one's immune function. So as we get colds, we get these respiratory infections. We don't necessarily maybe have to if we have a better immune system. So the typical move has been to, for example, get some supportive medicines on board, decongestants, maybe an antibiotic. But what if we just bolster our immune system a little bit through something more endogenous, right? We don't
Yeah.
necessarily have to go down that path. And I've seen that happen. And peptides are an exciting field, for example. And what are peptides? Well, they're amino acids bunched together, and there could be variations of this, but being more creative in improving our health is definitely something that I look forward to in the future.
Yeah, and I've been seeing a lot of people taking something called metformin. It's meant for, I think, diabetes, but they're using it for, for age-related diseases as well. Is that something that's on your radar as well?
Right, exactly. So there's a clinical trial right now that's enrolling patients, seeing how they will be doing on metformin. So far, it looks like patients that have been taking metformin, especially that have diabetes or prediabetes, do way better. But that's not a medicine, I think, for everybody. Everything
Okay.
has side effects. So, for example, with metformin, you could lose some muscle, but it
Mm.
could help you also. It could push you into something that your body can benefit from. It targets certain pathways, something called AMPK, so it could be a good tool. It's actually from a French lilac plant. So
Oh,
used
nice.
properly, it could be a good thing. So I like to say I want to use everything in my toolbox.
All
And
right.
that's one of the things.
Now, there's something I want to talk. The fact that I have you on here is perfect timing for me because I've been racking my brain trying to figure this out. So I'm 6'2", 180 pounds. I'm thin. I work out a couple days a week. I walk a lot. I eat relatively healthy. I was vegan for a while, switched to vegetarian. So you would call my doctor would call me like a very healthy patient.
Mhm.
No issues,
Potentially. Yeah, potentially they're right. Yeah.
right? And so why is my blood pressure high? I don't know. He
Mhm.
put me on a blood pressure pill to manage that. No matter what I did, lay off the
Right.
salt, eat the just vegetables, drink water. I don't drink soda. I don't smoke cigarettes. I exercise. And to him, it's genetic, right? Same with the cholesterol. Why is my cholesterol over 200 if I'm eating healthy?
Mm.
Again, no
Sure.
soda, etc. Genetic. How is that possible? Number one, and how do you use genetic and biomarker data to create personalized health plans for someone like me?
Exactly. So we're all unique, right? And with the genomic revolution we've had, we're able to sequence all our genes, or a lot of them, that is, that are discovered. And we can see why you have this problem. And very well, the answer could be genetics, right? So beyond that, you described your weight, your height. You could have a proper BMI, but what are you actually made of, right? What is your body composition? Because you could be a skinny fat guy, right? Uh,
I hope not.
I hope not too, right? But if you do something like a DEXA scan, right, which is a very good high quality X-ray with technology that shows how much muscle, how much fat you have, and more importantly, how much visceral fat you have, you can gain more data, right? So if your muscle content is not sufficient and you have too much visceral fat, well, that could be causing some problems, right?
Mm.
Now, what is visceral fat? That's the fat, that's the spillover fat. That's the fat that's in our organs, kind of like marbled steak in a way, in our liver, in our pericardium, around our heart. This is like another organ system essentially. So it's not doing us any favor. Having too much of it can cause all these problems.
Is there a
With
way to, and I know this is a dumb way to say it, but is there any way to get rid of it? Like seriously,
oh yeah,
because like
this is all doable.
what are the top three ways of getting rid of visceral fat?
Well, usually we have to be in a caloric deficit, right? So that depends how we approach that. You can have medicine supplements introduced to expedite that. You need a little exercise. You need the right exercise. Exercise is a huge topic. So I think that's also non negotiable too. You need to do, I think, a few hours a week of high quality exercise. Now there's machines you can do that can shorten that duration, but generally it's a combination of getting all these things on board. Now there's, as you probably heard, wonderful medicines now that are making obesity almost optional, and these could be a good idea if it makes sense for you. But the question is, how do you use them in a certain setting, right?
Yeah.
Because the idea is not to just have a quick fix. You need to use everything possible.
Okay, you mentioned the caloric deficit. I've been doing the 16/8 intermittent fasting for people who don't know what that is. You don't eat for 16 hours. You do eat for an 8-hour window. For me, it's 9 to 5, and my dinner is usually the bigger meal. Not eating for 16 hours, so from 5 p.m. till 9 a.m. Is that something that you recommend to people to do? Why?
I mean, it could be. Now, if you lose too much muscle, that could be counterproductive. So I think it sounds like you're doing something good, but you have to see what it's doing as far as to the rest of your body. Muscle is really a currency for us, especially as we get older. So if we become too frail or sarcopenic, then that's a bad thing. So I would kind of revert that back, and it could be working. I would probably say avoid the long fasts, but it's okay to occasionally do them. With fasting, you're doing something what is called hormesis in a way, a little stressor that's relatively short, and then you kind of go back to the mean. In this case, would be eating, right? So with that, your body can clean up stuff that maybe doesn't serve it. That's called autophagy. You kind of recycle things, and as well, you become hopefully healthier, right? You prevent maybe insulin resistance. So it's also dependent on your genes, right? That fasting is also genetically specific and epigenetically specific. So lots of nuance here.
Is 16/8 pretty safe though, considering people might fast literally for 3 days straight where they don't eat anything, they just drink water,
Yeah.
versus me where I'm just taking that 16 hours, letting my body kind of process
Mhm.
everything, eat the fat, and then the 8 hours I'm eating, but I don't go anything past that. I don't do like the 3 day
Mhm.
cleanse or whatever you call it.
Yeah, I mean, it seems pretty reasonable. And also the things you do around it. How's your performance? How's your just well-being?
Yeah,
Are you hangry during that time? Are
right.
you supplementing with ketones, for example, which give you extra just clarity? Are you taking any amino acids that could maybe be allowing you to still fast?
Makes sense.
So yeah, you can obviously make this better.
All right, cool. And so you mentioned exercise is important. Obviously, eating healthy is important, and figuring out your genome is important. All these things. Are there any other daily habits you recommend to people that visit you about to impact long term viability?
Sure, of course. So, I mean, low-hanging fruit, if we're drinking too much alcohol, we got to cut it out. So there's a social connection. Obviously, we need to be with people. It's great to enjoy a nice dinner, perhaps in a beautiful area. You have a couple glasses of wine that could probably boost your longevity. Now, if you're having that repeated wine or whatever alcohol during the weekday, for example, interrupts your sleep, and then that's another, I think, negative, right? So we need to really work on our sleep because during that process, which is really active, we're detoxifying our brain, we're just consolidating memories, we're having hormones released. So that's kind of the second part of our lives, really.
Yeah, makes sense. And it goes without saying, don't smoke cigarettes. that's a
Probably not.
that's a
Probably
killer.
not. Yeah, yeah, that's kind of a
I'm surprised people still do that, to be honest with you.
well,
But
it's gotten to be vaping now, right? So,
yeah,
which I
vaping.
think the jury's going to probably be also not having good news for us.
Yeah, I think you're right about that. So you mentioned that everyone's different, right? And everybody needs a different kind of plan. So what does that look like in terms of like the personalized medicine in a clinical setting?
Certainly. So a lot of this is dependent on how much you'd like to spend to get to know your body.
Mm,
So I spoke briefly about the genomic component, right? What is our blueprint? What did our parents give us? That could give us a lot of information. I can drink coffee and my blood pressure does not spike because of my
right.
unique genome. Other people, not so much. Same thing with salt, being salt sensitive, vice versa. So then we can dive into just the biomarkers, the blood. We can see what makes us as far as that is concerned. And
Right.
then we can always go further. We can look at our anatomy. We can see what do we look like on the inside. So how do our arteries look like? What is the visceral fat? How is our skeleton looking? What are things that could potentially hurt us or kill us, right? If you have an aneurysm that's about to burst in a few years, you should probably know about that, right? Because that could be something. It doesn't matter
It's
how
fatal.
you're fasting, right? Or how
Yeah.
you're sleeping. That is going to eliminate you, right?
Yeah.
So try to eliminate these things that potentially could end your life prematurely.
Geez, and I was going to ask you what's one thing listeners can do today to start living longer and better, but you pretty much just outlined it right there. So that squashes that. And before we wrap up, I do want to ask you one thing in case maybe you're into this is where do you see healthcare going in the next 10 to 20 years? Like, we're in our 40s or whatnot. Where do you think when we retire, what's it going to look like?
Right. Well, I mean, as you probably heard, you have all the AI models coming out, getting better and better literally every week. I think
Yep.
Grok 5 is going to be maybe AGI, Elon Musk said yesterday. So then what does that mean in the next 2 to 3 years? We're going to solve math problems that we haven't been able to solve, perhaps new physics. And that means the biological world will also change. So that means all these problems that we haven't had answers to, I think will be solved. Now we're already kind of learning some of these things and they're arriving, but not everybody can get them. So that's the downside. So I would love for that to be available to more people. But right now, we're living in exciting times. So just being healthy and alive and getting to that time period would be amazing. So with doctors, I think doctors will, a lot of them will have to be changed, right? Because that's obvious. Now, I think it'll just be a cooperation with the machines, with the robots, and then the inventions that will be coming out that will have us literally be aging, be just reverse, right?
Yeah.
So the goal is to stop aging, reverse aging, prevent diseases. That's the future I see. And that's why I'm excited to be here.
Awesome. I feel the same exact way. And if people want to work with you, where would they go and how would they reach out to you?
Well, we are in Houston, Texas, in the Memorial City area. Restore Longevity Clinic.com is where you can find us on the web. We have also the usual Twitter, social media, the Instagram. That those are all. Try not to be on Twitter X, but Instagram is a kinder place. And of course, we can do a discovery call if this makes sense for you.
Sweet, guys. Check it out. RestoreLongevityClinic.com. Try to live longer. Thank you, Dr. Greg. Appreciate your time. Hope you guys enjoyed the episode, and we'll see you guys in the next one.